Good morning. Vegas pigeons walking down the sidewalk looking for some crummies. Well, they are very brave. I am very close to them. Hi guys, good morning. All right, we're heading to Circus Circus for pickup. All right, I'm getting hit by McDonald's. Almost there. So these are the breakfast options.
Alright guys, I'm going to take the orders as fast as I can. I don't need your...
So we're stopping off at the Vegas sign, which is cool because I didn't really think I was going to get to see it. There she is. Got an Elvis out here too. Harley. Hanging out with the airplanes. So you do get unlimited water. Oh, it's actually a little bit cold.
You're from. But you could try. They're fun. You know, they're fun. And they are beautiful trees. So, you know. Alright, we're going to pull into the parking lot here. Remember, you can leave anything you like on the bus. We're going to do same seats when we get back on the bus. We'll do a half hour for breakfast, so we should arrive right around 8:10. That'll get us back on the bus at 8:40. Alright? In the event that they are not totally ready for us when we arrive, I am going to, like I said, run in there and, you know, just kind of hurry them along. And might have to bus a table or two. But
I did the exact same thing.
I was like,
just gonna say.
although one time I had somebody on the bus argue that with me. I said the hard hat was invented in my town, damn it. You know. I used to work in production and in film production. And, you know, you rig something differently on one movie, you bring it to another movie. So that probably happened at the Hoover Dam. They probably showed up and they go, hey, you know what we did on this last job where we had to do a lot of explosive work? We wore hard hats. So that's probably how it got invented over the course of time. And we are going to be transitioning into Boulder City, where you are about to see why they call this place Boulder City. You're going to see the terrain is going to change a little bit. You're going to see some giant boulders coming up soon. But right now on the right side of the bus, you got a 1930 style horse and buggy. All the guys are depicted wearing hard hats. You got one of the high scalers, you got the guys pouring the concrete, you got one of the 17 turbines, and that's the dam. There we go. It's, you know, operated and managed by the Department of Reclamation, which is like the Homeland Security for the water. They reclaim the water, right? So we're going to go through a federal checkpoint in just a minute. Remember, the Hoover Dam has been a tourist attraction and a terrorist target since the 1930s.
Wow.
So we are going to go on to federally, they just sashay up and down the mountains here. And the bighorn sheep, they have white butts. So you're looking for the white butts, just like antelope. And they're going to go up and down the mountains here if we see them. If we do see bighorn sheep, shout it out. And that is your indication to definitely go gamble later, because that is lucky. We don't always see the bighorn sheep, all right? Sometimes we see them, sometimes we don't. But remember, on the right side of the bus, you are going to get your first kind of treacherous look over there. That's actually the hiking trail down there, so sometimes you see hikers down there. So the trail just keeps going. You actually, if you take the hiking trails out this way, you can actually access the Colorado River. I'll show you a really cool one off the side of the highway in just a little while. Yeah.
at the Hoover Dam Stop. So there's either a ramp or there's stairs. I chose ramp. Without a sign. I did a combination of stairs and ramp. That seemed like a good choice.
You know, but especially depending on where in the world you're from, you may not be used to seeing any sort of terrain like this. Yeah, and actually you might be thinking it's a little bit greener than you might have imagined. Sometimes, you know, it does rain a little bit out here. We've had a little bit of rain recently, so get a little bit of green out here. But yeah, it's really unique terrain, so take some pictures. It's really nice. If you see on we got a sign that says Kingman over there. Kingman is where you pick up Route 66, and it's not too far from here. So when you see all the Route 66 like swag around town, we're not going to technically go on Route 66, but we're going to go close. So this is kind of what Route 66 looks like. Remember, Route 66 starts in Chicago and goes all the way to LA. And a glass floor where you get to look down. Now remember, if you're doing the Skywalk, it's a lot of fun, but the highlight of the tour is the second stop, Guano Point. So you want to get to Guano Point. We recommend 45 minutes to an hour at the first stop. We recommend the rest of the time at the second stop. Now, some of you guys may have heard about a zip line. I do have to tell you about the zip line and how it works. If you have a yellow wristband, your zip line is included. Our company strongly recommends you do not do the zip line. The reason why we strongly recommend it is because it's the least popular thing that they have here, and they started throwing it in because it was just a problem. So here's the issue with the zip line.
Eagle Point. So I got the ticket with the Skywalk. This is just right before you go into the building for that. You can't really take anything out onto the Skywalk, but there's free lockers down here. A lot of ravens. Yeah, right down there's the free lockers. Oh, there's a raven. There's 3 restaurants included. 2 at this location and then 1 at Guano Point. I'm gonna do Guano. We're still covered. It's not the Grand Canyon, it's the Grand Canyon, you dumb babies. Do you know the show? Name it below. That's what I always think of every time I hear Grand Canyon. Okay, they're pretty cool in here. All right, a bit of a wait, but there is our barbecue meal that was included. I got the chicken. My friend got the pot roast. Yeah, looks all right. A lot of pictures up there on the top of that rocks. And then down here you can kind of see more into it. We got a little bonus stop to see the Joshua trees. Definitely pretty. What is that? All right, back to the hotel. I've actually did some packing and stuff. So let's talk about the tour. So it was Comedy on Deck, the Grand Canyon West, I think it's called. And so was staying at Resort World, they picked me up at Circus Circus. There was a few people they picked up at Circus Circus where we were the first pickup. And then they also picked up at MGM and Excalibur. But sounds like that changes, you know, depending on the day and the tour and stuff. So, because he mentioned like the other day they picked up at Treasure Island. So, I think that changes around. Our tour guide was named Andrew. Our driver was Bando. And they were both great. No concerns, you know, with either of them. Driving was great. Andrew was funny. There wasn't quite as much comedy as I maybe anticipated with the name. But, you know, he still was very funny. He gave more information about Vegas, I feel like, than really the dam or the canyon. So I would have maybe liked a little bit more of that. But he gave really good information on like playing dice, where you can get the best promos and where you can get the best meal deals and stuff. So, you know, that was all good too. So the first stop was breakfast, or Breckies, he kept calling it. It was at the Omelet House. Not good. You have those choices I showed you guys in the menu. I did the pancakes, and it came with like 1 egg scrambled and sausage. Eggs were very rubbery. The pancakes just, I don't know. Bisquick pancake tastes better. I don't know. The people from like the UK, they really enjoyed it, like their meal. I know the girl across from me, Lindsay, she was really nice. She had the French toast. There was a British couple behind me, and she looked up what French toast was because she didn't know what it was. And she said, yeah, it was pretty good. I'm like, you know, it's really not that great of a place to judge an American breakfast on, but I'm glad you liked it. And then from there, oh, actually, we did have a surprise stop at the beginning before that at the Las Vegas sign. That's not guaranteed, so if you do the tour, you might not go to the Las Vegas sign. So I think he was mostly doing that because there was another tour ahead of us that was at the restaurant, and he needed to like kind of kill some more time. So it was cool though, because I didn't think I was going to get to the Vegas sign. I had no plans for it, so that was really cool. And then after the breakfast was the Hoover Dam Stop. So that one does have ramps, so it technically is accessible, but those ramps are pretty, I don't know, see, they're kind of steep. So if you're walking them, you can definitely kind of feel it in your legs and your knees as you're going up. And then of course it's blazing hot out. So luckily it wasn't, you know, afternoon, but it was still very hot. But that was cool to see. And then you can stand on the Arizona-Nevada line, which was fun. Everyone crowds around, and it's like, everybody's shadow kept getting my picture. I'm like, can you move, please? I'm getting your shadow. So, but I got some good pictures. It was cool to see the Hoover Dam. I would like to do a more extensive Hoover Dam tour and like actually go in it and stuff. So I think when I would come back, I would not do the Grand Canyon, and I would just do the Hoover Dam and do a more extensive tour. And then from there, we went past the Joshua Tree Forest, you know, and saw that. And then it was the Grand Canyon. So the Grand Canyon, you have two kind of stops. So there's the Eagle Point, which is pretty tiny, but that has the Skywalk. And I did get the ticket that had the Skywalk, so that was really cool. I do suggest the Skywalk if you're not scared of the floor being clear. You have to wear like these weird foot covers. I didn't show that though. So that was kind of funny. And then from there, you go to Guano Point, which guano means bat poop. So you do, if you do the tour that I did, and I'll link it down below, you do have lunch included as well. There's 2 lunch options at Eagle Point. There's like tacos, and then there's like a sandwich truck. And then the other option is like barbecue. It was like a barbecue chicken or pot roast. I did the barbecue chicken. Patricia did the pot roast. I thought it was pretty good. The line was a little bit hectic over there. But I feel like it got through pretty quick for how long it was. There was an older couple behind us that were really complaining, and I guess there was a different tour group, but still I think the same company. This UK couple that were like really upset about how long the line was. So and there was nothing that anybody could do about it. So it just sucks because there's only one food option at Guano Point. So it'd be nice if they had like, I don't know, signs or something that said how long the lines are, but because you don't know, and then it's not easy to get back over to to Eagle Point, so you're kind of stuck with that. Or you don't eat, which is an option. And then after Guano Point, we stopped at the Joshua Trees. That's also not a guarantee on your tour. So we just had a 5-minute quick get out, take some pictures, kind of walk the loop, and then get back on the bus. And then it was back to Vegas. He gave like a little QR code that had a list of free things to do in Vegas. Plus, he gave all those tips I mentioned about, free plays and meals and things. He's great to ask questions about what's available in Vegas, what to do if you want this kind of experience. Waters were included. He said somewhere online it says like 2. But you can have as many waters as you want. And he was encouraging us to take water when we left as well. Don't forget to bring some money to tip your bus driver and Andrew or your, guide. But he did accept PayPal, Venmo, and then there was like a spot on the website where you could also tip through the website. And then, so these are just $10 a piece. Trying to think of anything else to note. You get dropped off at the same place you were picked up, reverse order, so we were the last ones to be dropped off. I think that's about it. I think it was a good tour. I'm glad I did it. I don't know that I ever really need to see the Grand Canyon again. I mean, it was beautiful. Maybe like a quick, like, hi Grand Canyon, how you doing? But like I said, I would like to do a more in-depth tour of the Hoover Dam, and I would hope to get a little bit more of the history and like knowledge of it. But yeah, it was beautiful. It was cool to be in Arizona and Nevada today. So I did my packing. I'm about to get ready to walk out the door. I have a Circus Soleil show tonight. I can't record any of that. But I'll try to show you like where my seat is compared to the stage, so you can kind of have an idea for that. But I'm excited, but I'm also kind of kicking myself. Like, why did I do this on my really long day? And it's like, I did a quick Google search, but I did it like, Surrey. So I don't know how true this is. She's saying that it's like somewhere between 90 minutes and 2 hours. So I hope not, because I don't want to be there till like 11. But it'll be cool, and then we'll go by fast if that is the case. And I got my packing mostly done, so it's just stuff I gotta throw in the bag in the morning, and like, my dress and things. Because our flight is like 7:35 or something in the morning. So that's gonna suck. All right, well, I'll show you what I can. And it's at the Bellagio, so maybe we'll see a little bit of the fountain. All right, here we go. This is pretty. Beautiful. All right, section 104, row E, seat 8. All right, future Melissa here. I realized I did not ever record my thoughts on the Circus Soleil show and the Bellagio in general. The Bellagio was beautiful. The part where they have like the rotating like sceneries and things was so packed. Everybody wanted a selfie with like everything. They weren't moving. So that was a little stressful, but it was very beautiful. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather. The O show was really great. I think my seat was very good. It is a very tight seat, so if you're hippie at all, just know that it's not like the most comfortable. And the guy like right next to me on the one side was a fluffier gentleman. Luckily the other side was like a teenager, so that was fine. But we were like thigh buddies the whole time. But the show was beautiful. It has to do with water. So I looked up actually what the plot of the show was, because I couldn't really tell you at the end of the show what the story was. But it is more just like interpretation of water and like an honor to water. Like there's a guy, and you know, he's got a little bit of a storyline in there, but it's really about just water. And there was like, you know, the clowns like they normally have with Circus Soleil, but there was, you know, fan dancers, and there was silk rope, you know, folks. So there was a little bit of everything in this. Divers. It was really awesome. It was really beautiful. But like I said, it wasn't a very cohesive story. So if you're someone that really needs a story to get into a show, you might not like it as much. You know, the Drawn to Life one I saw, and I'll link that below, at Disney Springs. That one definitely had a very clear story. You knew what you were, you know, seeing basically. But this one did not. But it was still very awesome. All right, well, let me know if you have any questions on the Circus Soleil show. I would suggest it. And I will go into the resource for today's video. All right, I learned about this on a podcast earlier today when I was working. They talked about Ainsley's Angels of America. They ensure that everyone can experience an endurance event. Ainsley's Angels of America aims to build awareness about America's special needs community through inclusion in all aspects of life, serving as advocates for providing education and participating as active members in local community. Everyone deserves to be included. So that they were talking about on the podcast is some of these races, like 5Ks and things, will pair up someone with mobility issues with a runner, and they're able to still experience the race with, I think they call them guardian angels, through the program. So it's very awesome. You know, it might be someone you know, but you might get teamed up with someone you don't know and develop a new friendship. So pretty awesome. So if that's something that could be benefit to you or your family, check them out. I'll have this linked below.